in order to really receive appreciation, right? Appreciation from other people, you must first appreciate yourself. You first must have appreciation within inside of you. And that's when appreciation flows. Where attention goes, energy flows, right? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, as always, Tim Matthews. Tim, how's it going, brother?
Very well, brother. Very well. Feel very jovial after our conversation for the past hour.
They're always good. And oftentimes we joke around and talk about, I wish we could just record those conversations, which we actually probably could. But these are a little bit more laser focused, which I like a lot too, because people are getting great responses from people who are taking a lot of action on them, which I love. So Tim, today, topic of conversation, appreciation. How do you receive and give appreciation? And, how does that reflect on you and your partnerships?
Yeah, great question. Wow, so many facets to that question. I'm going to start by saying that appreciation has been something that it's a work in progress for me. Always is. To be able to receive it more than anything. If you know anything about my story, then you'll know where I came from and the journey that I've been on in, my own healing of my own self-worth, my own self-love. And so naturally, my set point is to not really receive love and appreciation, regardless of how it's kind of given to me. And I do know my love language. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of Amelia's. And we communicate as much as we can. We try to communicate as much as often in the ways that we both like to receive love and give love too. But for me, whenever I feel like, and you got a message from me recently, didn't you, saying, "Hey, I'm experiencing these funky emotions, and this is what I'm feeling, and I'm feeling underappreciated." And it's interesting because I know that if I went to Amelia and said, "Hey, I'm feeling underappreciated," she'd then say, "Well, what could I do to appreciate you?" And at that point, because I'd not been doing my weekly review, and we see it so often where the guys stop doing the basics. And like we've said numerous times on this show, we don't claim to be perfect. Always still on our journey. And what I found, Doug, was that when I stop doing my weekly review, or when I don't do my weekly review, that really focuses on my wins for the week, the lessons for the week in all 5 areas, which obviously fills my cup in such a huge way. When I skip that, I then struggle to feel appreciated by the people around me. So if I then go to Amelia and say, "Hey, do you know what? I don't feel appreciated right now," her response would then more than likely be, "Okay, well, what could I do to help you feel appreciated?" I either wouldn't know because I'm not giving myself the space and time to fill my own cup, or I'd list off a few things she could do, and this has happened before, and she'd say, "Yeah, well, I've been doing those things. Remember when you were this happened in the company and I did this for you, and remember when you did this and I did that." And she amazes me. She lists off a whole bunch of things she's done, and I'm left standing there like shit, yeah, fuck. And I've just not received them because I've been so much in the mode of doing rather than being, having that balance, that it's just gone over my head. And what I've found to be true for me is, in order for me to feel appreciated, and then obviously to give my appreciation to others, I get to focus on me first. It all starts with me. We've spoken about codependent relationships on previous episodes. And if I was only ever getting my appreciation from Amelia, then I would be dependent on her to give me something that I'm then not giving myself, which obviously is not a healthy position to be in. So it's a great reminder. I'm loving this conversation right now. Even this conversation, it's such a great reminder for me to be focusing on my cup and the basics, and from there, all the other appreciation from you, from the men we work with, from Amelia, from our family, from our friends, it all then lands.
Absolutely. And you know what's great about this conversation and in so many ways, because you and I have talked about this off air before over the weekend. To watch you so eloquently as you're speaking about this, walk through those steps. And I think a lot of us forget that just simply being in the conversation, right? And that's what a lot of the guys will do in our community is being in the conversation allows you to see the answers, right? And allows you to stay the path. And, do you find the more that you're talking about whether it's the desire for appreciation or the lack of feeling of appreciation, that it allows you to turn full circle and come back to a state of appreciation?
Oh, wow. Yeah, completely. I mean, as you'll recall from our conversation, we're bouncing messages back and forth. And I love using you as sounding boards. Again, thank you for always being there and doing that for me. One, you ask great questions. And two, in the process of me then answering those questions and being in the conversation, I come full circle and I realize, what's gone on and what have I stopped doing in order to feel this way, and what do I get to do? At the weekend, when we're speaking about this, you then said, do you want to get on a call with me? And I can make time. It's okay. And I'm like, no, I'm all good now. I'm all good. And I was completely fine. I came into the conversation feeling this, how do I put it? Like there was a void, quite honestly. And a void is a void, whether it's big or small, it's irrelevant. It's a void. I think some of it as well had to do with a lot of the passings of people that I've experienced in my life, that I've experienced in my life over the past few weeks. It then gets you thinking more as well about how you live in your life and what's going on, and really feeling those feelings of appreciation. But yeah, just simply being in the conversation. And what came out of it for me, Doug, was the power of the basics.
Explain that more.
Okay, I'm going to use the experience we had over the past few months. So we have a program called the Brotherhood, as you obviously know, because you lead it. So we have a program called the Brotherhood. And the only way that men are able or eligible to go into that is to go through the activation method, of course. And the Brotherhood is really where the movement is at. The Powerful Man movement is a movement of men serving and impacting and living at their highest potential. Without force, without hustle, without grind. And the Brotherhood is really the home of that movement. But quite a few months ago, when it used to be the Inner Circle, what we found was that some of the guys had come through the activation method, achieved some great shifts, some great results by doing the basics, because usually they come into the activation method not having much of a routine, well, not having any of a routine. The energy behind a lot of their action is proving and forcing and needing, a lot of fear-based energies anyway. And as a result, no matter what they achieve, it's never enough. And also the way in which they're going about achieving it means that it's coming at the cost of everything else in their life. So, as you know, when the guys come into the activation method, they firstly go through the truth, which sets them free from the lies they've been telling themselves. The lies that have caused them to think and believe that they must have all these things outside of themselves, cars, money, homes, holidays, in order to be a man or be happy or whatever. And as a result, they often sacrifice their health, their happiness, and their relationships in the process. So when they actually instill the truth into their life, and then the creed and the pillars, which are really the basics, basic shifts in how they see themselves, how they operate. Obviously, I'm not going to name them all because one, they won't really make a lot of sense in the context of this conversation. But two, join the activation method, you'll find out. But when they instill the basics into their life, what we then found a few months ago was when they then went into the Inner Circle, because it was the next level and because they were then setting themselves bigger goals than in all areas than they'd experienced before, they then stopped doing the basics. And when they then stopped doing the basics, within a few weeks, they put themselves back into that same energy and that same state that got them into the activation method in the first place. They weren't feeling appreciated. They were feeling overwhelmed. They were feeling rushed. They were feeling that void. That void came back because they weren't doing the basics. And I think a message that often gets conveyed, that I see getting conveyed a lot anyway, is one that, once you've done the work, all you need to do is do this one program and that's it. All your problems are solved. And they're not. It's true. We see all the time, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
It's work. It's like going to the gym. It's like doing the reps. If you go to the gym and you're working out and you get your body into some great shape, what happens when you stop going to the gym? You start to lose fitness and lose shape and lose strength because you stop doing the basics. And the basics here that the guys were doing in the activation method, and that I do personally in order to fuel my own appreciation, one of them is that weekly review. Every Sunday at the end of the week, usually on the morning around 10 a.m., 11 a.m., I take myself off for 2 hours on my own. Usually it's to the spa. Love me some spa. Usually it's to the spa, and I'll journal. And I'll go through the process that we give the guys in the activation method to review their week. And I'll review my week. And I'll take that 2 hours to just be and reflect. And one of the things I love about being in the spa is my mobile phone isn't anywhere near me. It's just me, the sound of the water, the warmth, the heat. I really just fill my cup, and I leave there with such a feeling of peace and calm and gratitude that when I don't have that, even when I have some of the basics in my life, such as my daily meditation and my daily journaling, they're all great. But what I find is at the end of the week, when I do that review, it's almost like a marker in time. It's almost like it just caps off, boom, and it gives me some space to really, really fill my cup. It's such a huge one that, for me, is one of the key basics.
Hey guys, I had to interrupt this show because I want to talk to you about a case study we put together. It's only 11 minutes, and what we do is we go over and show you how almost 300 men have taken control of their life, have already 4x their business revenue, and are having more connected and intimate sex with their partner using the activation method. Now, they're doing all this without burning down their relationships and without suffering and sacrificing their health. We want you to have this too, so go over to thepowerfulman.com/11, the number 11, and get this right now. It's only 11 minutes, and it's going to show you exactly how these men have done it. All right, let's get back to the episode.
There's so much we can talk about appreciation. One of the things that comes up for a lot of people when we're talking to them also is they don't feel appreciation from their partner when they're not appreciating themselves and the journey that they're personally on. And this often happens, especially with high achieving men. They set big goals. They're very lofty in all of their areas. And they don't feel like they're on the path, or at least they don't feel like they're doing well enough. It's not necessarily a state of, are you good, or are you valued, or are you loved? But they're not hitting their goals, or the goals are set so high that they feel that they may not hit them. And therefore, they're not appreciating the path that they're on, the things that they've done. Do you ever find that with the men when you're working with them?
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. It's kind of like what I just described a moment ago with the guys that then went into the inner circle, some of them that went into the inner circle, and they, made this mistake. They forgot about the basics. Quite honestly, we kind of assumed they'd be doing them as well. Sure, we held them accountable and supported them, and we received some, misinformation sometimes. But at that level, we assume that you've got the basics in place and you're building on that foundation. And what turned out was they were setting these lofty goals, and they did stop appreciating where they were at and the path they were on. There's a big difference, isn't there, Doug, between saying you appreciate something and feeling it. Big, big difference. And, hey, yeah, I really appreciate what's going on in my relationship, and business is in a great place. And I really appreciate my health. It's easy enough to say those kind of things. And that's what we hear often. That's what we heard at this moment in time in the inner circle. We heard that from these guys in particular. But it wasn't landing with them. I can remember speaking to one guy and I said, look, what do you get to do right now, today? Because he took himself away, and he experienced this really tranquil environment where there was a lot of peace, a lot of quiet, and he took himself out of the doing mode and was very much in the being mode. And as a result, appreciation went up. His cup was being filled. And he got back from there, and I was on a call with him, and he said, I just really wish I could feel like that every day. I'm like, well, why can't you? He says, well, you know what? I was there. It was the environment. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you received it. You created the moment. It wasn't the environment that caused you to feel that way. You still had to be there and engage with the environment and create the energy and the frame of mind and the state of being to actually receive it and feel and be in that way. It was a really productive time for him as well, because he had a lot of ideas, he actioned a lot of them, but it felt really flowing. So when he then went back home to a different environment with different triggers, what that then meant was he then automatically assumed that, he couldn't have that. So although he was saying that he appreciated various aspects of his life, it didn't mean anything. It was just meaningless because it wasn't landing with him. Again, it comes back to the basics. It's very difficult to have something like a weekly review in place where you take yourself away for 2 hours, you review your week, it's just you, it's somewhere you love, it's somewhere where you just can be and just feel so engaged. It's very difficult to have something like that in your life and to not actually feel the appreciation. It's different energy. It turns from something that you are doing to something you are, or someone you are being. You are being appreciative of what you've got. You are being it.
So this brings me back full circle here. And I know the guy you're talking about, of course, but oftentimes we forget, and I know we started off with talking about appreciation and we're going all over the places we tend to do, but it's just like anything. We talk about manifestation or, creating what you want in your life. There's all kinds of ways of thinking about this, praying to a higher power and then it becomes real, whatever it is. The point is first you need to feel it and embrace it, right? First you need to own it and then it comes into you. So it's the idea of buying a jet, right? You buy a brand new jet. So if you're looking at buying your own jet, some of you probably have one. A lot of you are like, what the heck? I'm way away from buying my own jet. But if you imagine and set yourself in that position of when you first step onto your own private jet, that feeling that you have, that feeling of luxury when there is the host that's waiting for you, to take your order because it's your jet, and I have clients that do this all the time and they've got your meal prepped and you're sitting down in your leather seat that was just for you. And, it's just your jet. And you're going where you want to, that feeling you have. Well, the idea is you can have that feeling now, right? Because if you really go through the exercise and it takes about 10 minutes to get someone in that state, but if you can have that feeling now, you don't need the jet, right? The jet's a tool to get you there, but in order to get the jet for most people, you need to have that feeling embodied within you in order to get to that space. Said another way, in order to really receive appreciation, right? Appreciation from other people, you must first appreciate yourself. You first must have appreciation within inside of you. And that's when appreciation flows. Where attention goes, energy flows, right? And that's what we're seeing oftentimes with appreciation as well, or any other emotion, right? If you're feeling down about things that are going on in your life, that's when you're looking around to be appreciated, right? You look for that state of being because you're looking for it from somebody else, right? Because you're looking for them to fill it within you. Now, this isn't all the time, but oftentimes this is the case. Just like when you're looking for love, it's because love is lacking inside of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking, right? Otherwise, you'd be feeling unappreciated, unloved all the time. But we tend to notice these things when they're lacking within inside of us.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it might sound like I'm kind of going all over the place here with the topic appreciation, but it's so true. It all starts with us. Like you said, we cannot receive appreciation from anyone or anything. And this is one of the reasons why we speak to so many men and they've achieved so many great things in their life. but they just don't feel proud of their results. They just don't, none of it lands for them. And none of it lands for them because they don't feel appreciated by themselves, first and foremost. So they don't feel appreciated by themselves. So then how can you build on that with feelings of pride? You just can't. So in order for you to, like you say, to get appreciation from anyone, from anything, from me, from Amelia, you from Erin, it always starts with us. And if I am craving more and more appreciation from Amelia, like I was, then yeah, there are two avenues that I get to look at. First of all, why am I craving this? Am I giving it to myself first and foremost? You know, what would happen if I said to her, hey, I don't feel appreciated? I don't know if she'd say, what can I do? Like I said at the start of the conversation, I'd tell her, or I'd say, I don't know. And if I don't know, that's a clear sign that I'm not giving it to myself. And if I tell her, then more than likely she's going to reel off 5 different examples of how she's done that, and I'm not receiving it. So yeah, sure, there's love languages and things like that that you can explore within the dynamic of a relationship, whether it's intimate, whether it's with your kids, whether it's in the workspace. There's all sorts of those tests you can do and dynamics you can apply, but none of them are going to be lasting without you first being able to give it to yourself. It's like be, do, have versus have, do, be, something we talk about so often. Until you're giving it to yourself, you're always going to be relying on outside sources, cars, women, houses, money, accolades, whatever it is, in order to give you that state. So, if you could take away one thing from this conversation, one question, if you will, it'll be, what can you do today to start appreciating yourself? What can you do right now as you're listening to this? Just contemplate the question, what could you do today to show appreciation to yourself? It doesn't have to be something extravagant. It could be something as simple as giving yourself 5 minutes in your car when you pull up at home, when you've left the office, mobile turned off, and it's just you, and you sat there and you're breathing in silence. I send an email out when the guys first come into our world, and I ask them, what type of man are you? And the choices are a hustler, a substitute, or a sacrificer. And the most common reply that we get back is, I'm a combination between a hustler and a sacrificer. So what that means is these guys go out there and they strive and they work their asses off to create amazing things in the world for them and their family, but then they forget about themselves, the sacrifice. So it's no wonder why they often feel there's a huge void in their life, because they're not giving anything to themselves, be it time, space, weekly reviews, time in the spa, massages, whatever it is. They're not giving anything to themselves to then fill their cup and feel appreciated.
Yeah, so true. Well, Tim, let's end on that note. I appreciate you for dropping knowledge for everybody listening in. So much wisdom as always, my friend. And I look forward to the next episode that we have coming up.
Yeah, me too.
All right, guys, we appreciate you on that topic for listening in. And make sure when you figure out for your appreciation what you're going to do, go over to the Facebook group and make sure for the activation method and share it with us and share it with the other people. By declaring, you can bring it forth. And that's what I recommend you guys do.
Can I throw in one more thing?
Absolutely.
I invite you to do your own weekly review. Come up with your own routine. Give yourself an hour or 90 minutes, whatever it is, and come up with your own routine where you can review your week, review your biggest wins, your biggest lessons, and what you get to do differently next week. And I'd love to hear how that impacts the level of appreciation you experience for yourself.
Love it. All right, guys, you have been challenged or tasked by Tim the Powerful Man Matthews. All right, until the next episode, have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon.